I finally got an interview for the dream job, and after working with him, I got it, and it was simple and it was easy.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the journey.
Has it helped? Yes, it absolutely has. It's definitely helped in knowing the market a lot better and knowing how to how to put myself out there. Like, I would never ever have touched my LinkedIn ever. I didn't see LinkedIn as a valuable resource at all. Yes. So in saying that, it already has proven to be.
It's really what I say. I think you guys are great and change people's lives, and it makes a lot of difference.
You deliver at a very high level.
It was really enjoyable. You learn a lot. It was really easy going step by step.
You did before when they do. So that was, I think session 5, the interview session, if you ask me, was my favorite out of all the 6 sessions.
So it's not only helped me in my personal branding, but it's helped me now on the business side, where I feel very, very capable to go into,
Hey, super legends, superheroes, and superstars. My name is Dre, and welcome to another episode of Hot Hire Coaches on Fire. I am absolutely stoked today. So we've got a heavy hitter all the way from the US of A. So before I introduce him, just to let you know, there's about a 20-second delay. You know what to do. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. This will help move all the stats and the analytics in the background. We're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and live on LinkedIn. So this next guest has just had, man, an incredible life, and I'm excited about him coming on and sharing his story. Also, one of the things that I love about him is that he has crewed for the Tony Robbins, and that's something that I've done as well. And I believe that people that crew, they're really special people because they're actually giving up their time, and time is the most special commodity that we have. So without any further ado, I want to give a big, massive, gigantic welcome to Corey Berrier.
What's up, brother? What's going on, man? I did not know you crewed for Tony Robbins. How about that?
Yeah. So it's when did I do it? So my first event was in 2018, UPW in Sydney, and then I crewed in 2019 as well. So when I was having a little sneaky pervert year of your Facebook, I was looking at all your pictures, and especially your picture with Brad Lee as well. So I'd love you in a minute to tell us a bit about that. So do you want to tell us about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Corey Berrier. I am the sales CEO, and I work with small to medium-sized companies all over the world, truthfully. I've trained sales teams all over the country, or actually all over the world. And it's pretty cool. It's interesting because I don't speak one language, and I've worked with people that speak multiple languages, and I've been successful. And so I guess I kind of figured once I saw that come into fruition, it's like, dang, well, I can help somebody that doesn't speak any English, or, doesn't speak any English, I can pretty much help anybody. And Dre, I want to say one quick thing about what I do and what I've realized, and I'm interested to see if you've had some of the same scenarios. I realized when I first started working with people, consulting and coaching, that I have to come at things that are really not low level. I shouldn't say low level, at a very elementary level for most people in sales. And the reason I realized this is I was talking about body language and micro expressions and tonality, and like people have no idea what that means. They just don't know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy to figure that out.
Yeah, Corey, you're spot on. So it's because like sometimes I think we don't know what other people know, and in relation to, like, say I used to be like a career coach, so I used to help people preparing from interviews, and what you're saying about, mirror matching, leading, pacing, eye contact, and just having like confidence. It's I thought that everybody kind of knew those sort of things, but it's a skill that gets developed, and it's a special skill which I believe that everybody should learn.
I agree. I mean, look, everything is sales. I don't care if it's your child doesn't want to eat their food and you have to convince them to eat their food. That's sales. I don't care if it's your husband or your wife, or it doesn't matter who it is. You've convinced somebody at some point to agree with you. And that's negotiation, right? And persuasion, really, and sales, all of them. So it's interesting because a lot of people think that persuasion and influence is this negative word, and sales for that matter. In fact, my goal is to have people not think of sales the way they used to think of sales. Like, we're not shady people. We're not out to sell snake oil. It's just not the way it is. Like, it's silly to even think that. Like, our goal as salespeople and as consultants and coaches are to give people the tools and the ability and the skills to do better in their own life. It's not that we're trying to sell snake oil. We're trying to help people get to the result that they want. And by doing that, we get the result we want, which is a client, right?
Yep. Somebody call MC Hammer, because you just absolutely nailed that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got into sales? Like, what was your first sales gig?
100%. So I'll tell you the first thing that I sold, which was golf balls. I grew up on a golf course, and so I would go hunt golf balls as a kid, 5 years old probably. And I would take them down to the sports store and I would sell them. I don't know how much they gave me for them back then. Who knows? Not much. But either way, if you think about that whole thing, you've got to hunt, you got to find the ball, right? You got to find the pain point, so to speak. You got to clean it up, take it to the shop, and sell it. That whole process is really what a business does at a really, really small level. And so to answer your original question, how I got into sales was I've always been really good at communicating with people. I've always been good at connecting people, especially when it's people in my network. I always think about whoever I'm talking to. I think, well, where could I help? Who do I know that could help Dre in whatever it is that I feel like you need help in, or that you've told me you need help in? And so I love that because it makes me feel good, right? You win, I win, everybody wins. And so, but I've sold everything except for houses and cars. I've never been a car salesperson, and I've never been a real estate agent. Outside of that, I've sold about everything. And so for me to tell you how, my whole sales crew would be here all day. But I'll tell you why I was so drawn to sales is because, again, there is certain people have the ability to craft a conversation and the other person not, they respond, right? And that may sound really simple and it may sound really stupid, but at the end of the day, part of the biggest hurdle that most people have to get over in sales is they just have to ask for the money. People are not going to give it to you.
Yeah. So, question on that: why do you think people don't ask? Because I know that there's a lot of coaches that don't ask for actually, even salespeople don't ask for the business.
I know exactly why. Because I was that guy. I know exactly why. Because we don't feel like what we're selling is worth what we're selling it for. And we tell ourselves these stories about how, well, why should I charge somebody $54,000 for 4 months worth of work? Because I'm I've done 25 years worth of training to give you that $54,000 worth of work. That's why you can't get this experience anywhere else on the planet. I'm the only one that can give you my experience. And that's worth something.
I love that. Absolutely love that. All right. Can you tell me about your Tony Robbins journey and how you got into that world?
Yes, you know what? This is an actual really amazing story, and I'm going to do everything I can do not to get choked up. And that's not a joke, but like, this is one of the stories though, that hits me in the heart. I did pretty good last time I told it, but this time we'll see. So I sold my personal training company in 2017 to open a testosterone replacement clinic. So we had growth hormone, we had all kinds of cool stuff. And fast forward a year after opening that clinic, which I thought this was it for me. This is what I'm going to do forever. I loved it. And I was still selling, of course. But what happened was the only thing I didn't handle in the business were the finances. And so my partner, somehow, I don't know how exactly this happened, but somehow we got negative $350,000. So he tells me this, and then I figure out he's screwing the girl. Well, I actually didn't figure this out yet. I told that out of place. So he walks into my office on October 1st of 2018. I'll never forget that day. And he said, "Look, I'm not going to pay you anymore." I'm like, "What? I own 50% of the business. Like, what the hell are you talking about?" And so that was kind of the end of it. I melted down naturally because I didn't know. Now, there's two reasons why I melted down. One, the obvious reason was my business partner said, "I'm not paying you anymore." Huge problem. But the second part of this is where I think a lot of stuff changed for me. I was planning on buying my ticket to go see Tony Robbins that day when I got paid. And like, that was the plan. So I didn't get paid. And I called my wife and, I said, I told her what had happened. And I think it was probably 2 days later. She called me. It was about 4:00 at work because I stayed because I thought he's going to come to his senses, right? It's the 15th. We'll figure this out. I still own half the business, right? So I'm going to obviously stick it out. And so she called me and she said, I was agitated. I was in a bad spot. And she said, "I need you to go sit down in front of your computer." And I said, I'm in the bathroom washing my hands. I don't have time for that. She said, "I just need you to do it." And so I did. And when I opened that computer, she said, "Open your email." And it was an email from Robbins Research. And she had negotiated a deal with Robbins Research to get me that ticket. And like, dude, that's probably the most, I told you I was going to get jacked up, dude. It's probably it's probably the nicest thing anybody's ever done for me. And like, the truth is that changed my life. It really did. Oh, shit. Sorry, dude. But here's why it changed my life is I got to that event and I did all the things that and when I got home, I embodied all that stuff and I really dug in super deep and I wanted to learn why the things in my life were going the way they were. And I wanted to learn how to get out of that. I was just awful spot. And that led me to, where we are today. And I went through a lot of evolutions. I'm ADHD. So, we switched, move all over the place with shiny objects. So that's when I jumped into working with business owners full time because I knew the mistakes that they could make. I knew all the mistakes because I'd already made them. I knew what they shouldn't be doing and what they should be doing. And that's the thing. If I would have had me, I probably wouldn't have gone under. But I just didn't know there was somebody like me out there. I was just in the personal development, right? I didn't know about coaches. And I didn't know about consultants. It wasn't something I knew about. So, and it was a long answer to your question, but I figured you'd appreciate the story.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. So thank you. Can you tell us about your podcast? Because you've got a really successful podcast and you've had some heavy hitters on there as well. Can you tell us about that? Actually, you've got another one coming out as well, haven't you?
We actually have released it. It's ADHD Sales Legends, and well, I mean, I've already told you I'm ADHD, so you can put the two together. And look, I'll tell you part of the reason I'm writing a book on ADHD and sales and entrepreneurship, and the reason is because nobody else has written one. There's no books out there, absolutely no books, zero literature on the correlation between sales and ADHD and entrepreneurship. Now, there's some entrepreneurship, but there's nothing that's directed towards sales. Most salespeople are freaking ADHD. You know that. Yeah, dude. I mean, and so we started that podcast for that reason, because it aligns with the book and all that stuff. And my other podcast, which is the older one, the one that's more successful, is called The Successful Life Podcast. And I started that to share other people's stories. And then I realized, wait a minute, I need to share my own story. I need to also share my stuff too, right? I enjoy sharing other people's stuff. Don't get me wrong. And it's put me in amazing positions because I've interviewed some badass people. I don't even have the list, but Brad Lee, I told you, Tony Robbins' son, I had him on. I've had a lot of people on. And Dre, I'm going to tell you the secret sauce. I sent him a video on Instagram. That's how I got the deal. All of them.
Oh, man, I love that.
All of them. Just about, I would say 97%. Well, 95%, because I had some, people inquire or refer. But yeah, most of my people, that's how I got them. Because nobody else was they weren't doing that. And this is a powerful lesson for your audience. If you're not using video in your sales process, if you're not sending your customers videos, if you're not sending them voice notes, here's what you're missing. You're missing 93% of the communication model, which means 100% of the communication model is 7% of the words, 38% is tonality, and 55% is body language. Now, your audience probably knows that. But think about that with video. How powerful is that when you can get all three of those, opposed to you sending a cold email, which nobody reads, right? You're really wasting a lot of time doing that. I mean, it's like it's just not how people think about this, Drake. And for the audience, like if you're listening to this, think about when you think about your best memory as a kid, right? Whatever that is, it could be Christmas time, it could be whatever. You don't think about words. You think about pictures. You think about emotion, right? You don't get any of that in an email, but you get all of that in a video.
Boom, shake the room. Somebody call Tiger Woods, because that was just a hole in one. Love that, Corey. All right, so I've got a couple more questions for you. How do people work with you? What's the best way to get hold of you as well?
Usually social, you find me on Instagram at Corey Berrier, spelled just like my name, or just really on most any social channels. And I have a group coaching program, and I'm relaunching it on April 1st. So we're getting ready to start running some stuff for that, which is going to be cool. It's going to be a really good offer. Because usually, my coaching program is typically $5,000 for the 90 days, right? If it's in a group setting. But this is going to be a bit bigger. This is going to be a bigger reach for a less of an ask. And I think people are going to love it. So I've mapped everything out. It's going to be the same program, just over a longer period of time. But there's going to be a lot of other cool stuff that's going to be added into that. And I think people are going to love it. We're going to build a big ass community. It's going to be killer.
I love that. All right. And what's next for you? What's on the horizon?
Well, that's a great question. I'm speaking at PodFest this year again. I spoke last year at their smaller event, but this year is their bigger. Like, it's a big event, and it's a big stage. Like, it's a pretty big deal for me, to have been asked back, first of all, because I really didn't do that great the first time, I'll be honest. I'll tell you why, Dre. You'll feel like this is hilarious. My whole talk was around negotiation, and I didn't tailor it to podcasters at all. I just talked about sales and negotiation. Right. It was really stupid, but I figured it out, and I'm like, that's not going to happen again. They're like, all right, cool, we're good then. So that's pretty big. The book's going to come out before then because obviously when I step on that stage, I want to have the book. So those are two pretty big things. Actually, the podcast lady just emailed me. So anyway, so yeah, some pretty big things, dude. Yeah, it's a lot of big things happening, but those are the two biggest right now on the horizon in the super near future.
Brilliant. That is awesome. Like really exciting stuff. All right. So I am absolutely obsessed with dad jokes. So do you have a dad joke, a quote, something inspirational, something motivational, something empowering, something of value that you'd like to leave us with?
Yes. So if you ever think about, unfortunately, I don't have a dad joke, but I do have something I'd like to leave everybody with, which is if you are starting to doubt yourself, if you're starting to feel like you're just not where you need to be or where you think you need to be, I want you to remember something. Like you got yourself as far as you are today. And, you know, whether you look at this like it's, I've prevented myself up until today, or that I'm the one that you got yourself to the spot that you're at today. So you got to give yourself some credit. I think lots of times, Dre, people, they just don't give themselves enough credit. And so I would encourage anybody just to look at your journey. God knows we've been through a lot. All of us have. We've all been through bad stuff. And guess what? Your bad and my bad in our minds, it's the same bad. It doesn't really matter what it was, right? So don't wallow in it. Pick yourself up and brush it off because guess what? You're going to win. You're going to win. It's going to happen. I always win. Dre, I know you always win. Like, if you just change your mindset a little bit, it will change the game for you. I'm living proof of it.
Corey, just want to say a massive, huge thank you to you for coming on, just dropping gold and just spitting some fire. And man, I love your energy, love your vibe, and I remember the first voice message that you sent me. You were just like full of energy and just some really kind, beautiful words. And that just left me for the rest of the day like, oh man, I'm just going to conquer the whole world. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing like your value, sharing your story and how you help your clients and also your podcast as well. So good luck with what's coming up with Podfest and the group coaching program.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.